Mister the Prequels presents the Prequels. And today we are having this same discussion that we've been having for several weeks now, since the 25th anniversary re-release of Star Wars Episode 1, The Phantom Menace, written and directed by George Lucas, producer Rick McCallum, executive producer George Lucas. Truly an all-time epic masterpiece of a filmmaking, and a Hollywood blockbuster that is in no way Hollywood. George Lucas is his own man, so to speak, and he is quite a filmmaker, an independent thinker. He puts his own thoughts and ideas into making the film. He takes consideration for how the fans would like it, but in the long run, in the end, it's what he wants. So if you didn't like the movies, if you thought they should have been made a different way, great, superb. That's what George would like to hear. And if you think he should have done it better than you, in a way that he did it, according to your objective standard that you're reading of subjectively, then that's good too. Everybody's got an opinion, man. You want to see mine? Yeah. Well, the point is, George Lucas is a great director. Star Wars Episode 1, The Phantom Menace, is an all-time epic masterpiece. And now let's get back on the subject of Jar Jar Binks. Jar Jar, as you know, is one of the most iconic characters ever created for the screen. Also, not to mention, one of the most iconic characters in Star Wars mythology. Now, Jar Jar Binks is the key to this whole thing. As you know, the creator stated it in the following manner. Jar Jar is the key. If we can get Jar Jar going, he's the key to this whole thing. He's the funniest character we've ever had. And we know also how these movies, they all rhyme with the other movies, so to speak. In many ways. They rhyme in many ways. And George Lucas had put a lot of thought into how he made these movies. He wrote them. He directed them. And Jar Jar Binks is one of those characters that not only has a lot of agency right from the beginning, but he develops as a character, and you witness this on the screen through both the development of the other characters as they all develop a lasting friendship bond in this movie, Star Wars Episode 1, The Phantom Menace. It's about friendship. It's about friends coming together in time of need, helping each other, sometimes by accident. And then, of course, it's based on your point of view. As Qui-Gon Jinn, the Master Jedi, the teacher, states, nothing happens by accident. Trust the will of the Force, and then the Force will guide us. So on and so forth. This is a more active view of participating with the Force than simply allowing the Force to tell you what to do. You choose, you act, you have hope, and then you try to influence other people to help you. You put together allies, and in this case, we see in the original trilogy, there is a rebellion happening against the Empire, the evil Empire. And we know it's a period of civil war. And then, of course, in the prequel trilogy, we see that turmoil has engulfed the Galactic Republic. And this is due to dispute over taxation of trade routes on outlying star systems. And then, of course, we meet the Greedy Trade Federation. The Greedy Trade Federation. And we're explaining this, no complicated terms. They're greedy. They're the bad guys. And then, of course, if you watch the movie with no audio, no sound, you'll see very clearly how the movie's set up to reflect both the regular way, the normal way, the conventions of Hollywood, but take a look now at from which direction the spaceships are shown and the characters are shown to be entering the frame. As in the original trilogy, you see the rebellion, the good guys, entering from screen right to the left, and then following the evil Empire, chasing them, pursuing them. And then, of course, in the prequel trilogy, Episode 1, we see the good guys entering from the left towards the right. And this is very interesting because the positioning of the point of view is different as well. And we'll see this throughout the prequels. There's many ways in which they rhyme thematically as well as visually and musically with the original trilogy. It's a brilliant method for infusing one into the other, and also weaving this as a tapestry and not just as a series of bricks laid parallel to each other or stacked on top of each other. It is beautifully woven, purposefully designed to be told as one story, in that you could look at any one of these episodes and find in them any of the other points of the other stories, the other episodes. And we see this in all of the original trilogy, including with the original trilogy, episodes 1 through 6, and this would be the finalized editions approved of by the creator, George Lucas. Hey, look, man, whether you like it or you don't, these are the versions the creator approved of. These are the versions we have as the real. And if you don't like it, you can go and make your own versions. But it doesn't mean that the creator, it's of the creator. Whether it's you making it, or me, or those other ones that the creator sold his children to. And if you want to know what the creator thinks, go ahead and look at that interview with him and Charlie Rose. Yeah, look at that interview with Charlie Rose and George Lucas, and you'll see what the creator really thinks. And also what a lot of us think. And I'll leave it at that. Now, let's take a look at Jar Jar Binks. One of the biggest characters ever to come out of Hollywood in years, since, I don't know, the Charlie Chaplin. I mean, this guy, man, Jar Jar Binks, Ahmed Best, deserves an Oscar for his portrayal of Jar Jar Binks in Star Wars Episode 1, The Phantom Menace. Written and directed by George Lucas. Producer Rick McCollum. Executive producer George Lucas. That's right, an all-time epic masterpiece. I'm going to say it again. Ahmed Best deserves an Oscar for his portrayal of Jar Jar Binks in Star Wars Episode 1, The Phantom Menace. And while we're on the subject of Oscar-worthy performances, Jake Lloyd deserves an Oscar for his portrayal of Anakin Skywalker in Star Wars Episode 1, The Phantom Menace. Written and directed by George Lucas. Yeah. Producer Rick McCollum. Executive producer George Lucas. And friends, we are really taking a look at the obvious here, and that is George Lucas is a brilliant director, a fantastic director, puts a lot of thought into it, a lot of effort. He didn't just throw it at the wall and see what would stick. He didn't just put in a bunch of CGI, green screen, special effects, things blowing up, moving around the screen. No, man, come on. These are pieces of art, finely detailed to every single frame. Man, watch the tapes, read the books. Not so with the current owners of the children that the creator sold to. Well, you know who the creator sold his children to. If you want to know what the creator thinks, why don't you go ahead and check that interview out on the internet. Charlie Rose interviews George Lucas. You'll see what the creator thinks about all of this. And you'll see what we think about all of this too, many of us actually. And I'll leave it at that. So the creator sold his children to, well, you know who he sold his children to. And then those people then turned the children into, shall we say, slaves. And then they now are allowing people to take turns on the, shall we say, franchise body for cash. And it's happening over and over and over, and it's being repeatedly occurring. And that's what's happening, friends. And it's not real Star Wars. It's just pretend. It's fake. But friends, that's not to put down anyone that put their time and effort and blood and sweat and tears into it, because certainly the quality of the product is there, as in lights, camera, and action. But the quality of characterization, writing, and actually give a you-know-what is not there. So all they're looking for is money. The creator sold his children to the, well, you know. And we are now the stewards of the original story, the original trilogy. And that is episodes 1 through 6. And Jar Jar is the key to all of this. And to those that say, well, he's the worst character ever and he's totally annoying and because of him I hate Star Wars and now I'm done. Wah! Well, I can only say this. You did not get the key. And if you want, you can get the key. I'll explain it now. And look at the development here. Jar Jar Binks gives access to all of us to this world of Star Wars. He's unlike any character that we've ever seen in this series. He is clumsy, true, but he's also insightful and he has agency. He's not stupid. He is intelligent. And he does have a way of observing and asking questions that frame the story in clear ways to allow the audience to see exactly the stakes as well as the hopes and possibilities for allies and friends to come together. At some point in the story, Jar Jar goes from being outcast, marginalized mishap to friend, ally, and needed supporter and resource. And this is the development. He becomes an actuality a general, and he earns the respect of the boss of the youngins. And this isn't quite a development. George is really in the story here, I believe, as Jar Jar. I believe this is the first time we've ever seen George put himself into the story. And we see it now in Jar Jar. And if you're not quite sure about this, why don't you just go ahead and look at the tapes. And you'll see how George has literally told and directed Ahmed Best on how to act like Jar Jar, how to walk like Jar Jar. I wouldn't even be surprised if he taught him how to inflect in his voice like Jar Jar. Well, friends, this is definitely an Oscar-worthy performance delivered by Jar Jar Binks, and in my opinion, as well by Jake Lloyd. In my opinion, friends, Star Wars Episode 1, The Phantom Menace, is Oscar-worthy in more than one category. Namely in the category of, there needs to be an Oscar category now for movies that are unlike any other movies ever made. This movie sets the standard. This movie is the gold standard in many ways. I say Star Wars Episode 1, The Phantom Menace, is an all-time epic masterpiece. And I also say that Jar Jar is the key, and that George Lucas is the key. And I say that George is the creator. He's the maker. And we should thank the maker. And now that the maker has provided unto us his creation, we, as the ones that are the recipients of this creation, can go about, share this creation, and enjoy it with the whole world. And friends, that's all the time we have for today. Remember, your focus determines your reality. And may the Force be with us.